Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, a little bit of a rant this morning. So I didn't notice because I was too busy fighting with idiots on Twitter in regards to how somehow a sensory toy is considered somehow, in somebody's logic, is anti-Semitic. The dog pile on top of that. And then people trying to rearrange their facts about us autistic folk to fit their current narrative to deal with the fact that some bullying was going on in the JD versus AH community. In particular, one of my autistic friends on the platform was horrifically attacked and bullied to the point that they closed down their account. See, folks, this is why I've been slowly backing away from the community. Because you all somehow have it in your head that this app is so damn important that you cannot allow for a difference in opinion to coexist in a digital space with you. Okay? I'm going to say it for the billionth time. Social media is not the real world. And some of you all have gotten yourselves so sucked into it that you're doing this kind of crap over a disagreement. Nobody apparently has the ability or the maturity to say, let's agree to disagree and leave it at that. No, we got to start on personal attacks on individuals who aren't even taking one side or the other. They're just trying to ask questions. Okay? You see, I knew this was going to happen. Because this is what always happens when you get into a neurotypical space and the community grows to be a certain size and then things go quiet. People go searching for shit to be mad about instead of going out there and living their real lives. Okay? And then it turns into a toxic cesspool where everybody's ripping each other apart with personal attacks, all because it began with a question. You see, in the neurodiversity side of social media, do we have disagreements and arguments? Yes, we do. We have even get into some quite spirited nerd battles. I've been in a few. One in particular being Gandalf versus Dumbledore. And I'm sorry, folks, it's Gandalf. Don't believe me, read the Silmarillion sometime. You're literally pitting a demigod against a mortal. But, anyways, that little fun bit aside, none of us is attacking each other like this. Okay? Nobody's trying to bully anyone else off of the platform. We usually end up either agreeing to disagree or there is a mutual block, but nobody feels like after those blocks to go in on personal attacks to spread rumors, to spread dissension. That is how we've become the massive unified front that we are. It's how the whole neurodiversity movement was born. And that's why I've been retreating there, folks. Because there isn't this backbiting, there isn't this pettiness, this isn't this bullying crap. As far as I've ever been told by anyone, the JD community was supposed to be a community of supporters that have literal survivors of trauma as its backbone. Now, let me tell you, as an autistic, that at this point in time, I have yet to meet a single neurodivergent person who has not suffered some form of trauma. Kitty's coming to calm me down. Okay? Not a single one of us. Not one. This toxic crap that you all are doing, these nasty comments, this side picking, this tribalism bullshit you all are engaging in, it's triggering to survivors, all right? Especially neurodivergent survivors. There's a group of us that are slowly backing away from the JD community because of it. Because right now, we are fighting the JRC. We are fighting misinformation on a massive scale because a college age autistic girl has an opinion about and is worried about things that are happening in this world that we're dealing with, being attacked over. Okay? We're fighting the JRC. We are fighting multiple cases of abuse of power regards to caregivers and neurodivergent folk. Okay? I don't got time for this. I am speaking out so that you know, although I might be one of the most vocal and one of the most seen individuals that have been a part of the JD community that joined it because I am fighting for a fellow neurodivergent, which JD is. And you are slowly edging us out because we don't want to deal with it. We deal with enough toxicity in our real day to day lives. Social media is supposed to be an escape and a safe place to vent for us, to find fellow trauma survivors. You've turned it into a cesspool of vipers. Congratulations. Because I hate to break it to you, but both sides help cause this divide. Okay? I don't know why everybody can't be adults, why we can't simply agree to disagree until more information is out there. But apparently, we are at the point of bullying the supporters who are neurodivergent off platforms while I don't want any part of it. None. None. So I'm going to go back to my side of Twitter until you all start figuring your shit out. Now, I won't be bullied by any stand to back off of my stance, but I'm not going to be engaging with any community who feels like it's a right to attack the most vulnerable among them. See, I don't want any part of that. All right? good? Good, because this is exhausting. I've got too many real world problems that deal with real world people that I need to be putting my focus on right now. I don't have time for this pettiness. So either figure your shit out or let the community implode and everybody go off to where they were before, because I am done. Done. To the disclaimers in the description box. If you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign and with the troubled teen industry, the campaign against it, please go ahead and click on there. You're going to find all the pertinent links. In particular, I want you to note the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In that article, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. It's an article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center felt so threatened by that they threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, folks. So please, if you could, read that article and share it on all your social media. Speaking of real world things that I should be dealing with, instead of stopping and spending time on stupid, petty nonsense. You're also going to find in there NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, and I've included a link to the GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Trigger warning, folks, when we discuss the JRC and Agape boarding school and places like it, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please at the very least use your headphones. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. All right, now, where we left off. Before the ban at issue in this case, the center treated some of its patients exhibiting severe self-injurious or aggressive behavior with an electrical stimulation device. Remember what I told you about that word severe? Autism Speaks, the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center. Basically, the entirety of the ABA complex itself loves using these terms because they want to use it to paint a picture for you. A picture which is more often than not a lie. Because if they use words like severe, they're playing on the unconscious bias of the neurotypical masses. The idea that if it is a form of autism where the person can't speak, if that self-injurious behavior mirrors what those exploitive videos on YouTube look like, then obviously any means that would stop that behavior would be justifiable, right? This is how people like the JRC continue to get away with their horrific atrocities, folks. Because they use those exploitive videos. They use your fear and your ignorance about our diagnosis to lull you into this false sense of safety. That everything's completely safe. They're professionals. They are doctors. Surely they know what they're doing. After all, these people are severe and nothing else out there is going to stop this behavior. It's a lie. It's a big lie. It's a provable lie. But most folks who are not in any other wise affected by our diagnosis will just brush it off and they're not going to dig deeper. And as long as they continue to not be willing to dig, we're going to have to keep having this same conversation and fighting the same fight. And I honestly, folks, don't see an end in sight. You know, until we get the mass, the larger part of the public involved, their version of events and their depiction of my diagnosis is going to continue to be the main depiction of our diagnosis on the public consciousness forever. Okay? And we will continue to get absolutely nowhere. The device, called a graduated electronic decelerator, briefly shocks patients, causing them to reduce or cease their self-injurious behaviors. Here we go. So we're just going to basically parrot Dr. Matthew Israel as though somehow that makes it okay. The same individual who was literally kicked out of the state of California due to his cruel methods, but because he has letters behind his name, we're just going to say, well, obviously that's what they used the device for. That's what he said. Y'all are entirely too trusting. Okay? The doctors. Now, am I telling you every doctor is wrong? Am I on the anti-pharma train? No, not even remotely close. I believe I have what I call a healthy skepticism. Okay? Where I'm willing to question my doctors when I think they're getting it wrong instead of just blindly doing what they're telling me to do. Doctor patient relationship really should be one of give and take, because if all you're doing is just obeying everything the doctor says, yeah, you could be on the wrong treatment program. Okay? Just saying. What we know about the GED in actuality, as opposed to the picture that they are trying to paint here, because apparently the Washington, D.C. Circuit Court doesn't care to do anything other than just rely on the JRC's word, kind of like Judge Nichols in Depp versus the Sun kind of level. Just believe. Yeah. It's not like autistics haven't already done all the homework for them and present on a very perfectly legible website literally all the links that are wrong in regards to not just the GED, but every other single form of behavioral nonsense and pseudoscience they get up to. It's not like we don't have legal documents from previous court cases, DESI reports, and ER documents or anything. No, we're just going to ignore that, like Judge Nichols did, and just believe Matthew Israel. You see why I have a problem with just believing anything? It didn't start with the JD versus AH, it started right here. Ban devices, electrical stimulation devices for self-injurious or aggressive behavior. The center is the only facility in the country that uses electric shock therapy to treat individuals who are severely injured or are aggressive. Here we go. They want to slide that word aggressive in. And again, folks, this is very intentional. It is a way of cleverly wording things with throwing shade and misinformation on us, using a terminology that makes it seem like they're not and they're being genuine. See, I wouldn't know that, except I've read so many documents in regards of this case from apologists that use the exact same terminology to do the same things, that I can point it out every time I see it. They want to drive home. It's extreme self-injurious behavior. It's extreme aggression towards others. They do this because even though it is a small minority that actually have those issues, they know that the neurotypical mind will take that explanation and use it for the bulk of the students at the JRC instead of those one or two students in which it is actually the case. It's the whole token defense, isn't it? Other healthcare practitioners not affiliated with the center, however, administer electrical stimulation devices to treat a wide variety of other conditions, including tobacco, alcohol, drug addictions, as well as inappropriate sexual behaviors following traumatic brain injuries. Okay, I'm going to stop you there, Washington, D.C. Circuit Court. Because what you are defending is the GED device. The GED device is the device in question here. The SIBIS, which is used in what you are talking about here in this paragraph, is an entirely different device that does not give out near the frequency of electricity into the skin as the GED does. The SBIS does not have a power wattage that is just below the lethal limit. The GED does. You are using a completely unrelated device where the only similar characteristics between the two are at the very basic level in order to defend a device that has been shown time again to be just below the lethal limit. And you're using this as your justification to overturn the FDA ban on the GED. Make it make sense. These devices are not the same. Nobody battling the conditions that you are speaking to right here is using the GED device just below the lethal limit to assist with the issues that you're bringing up here. Nor would any of those individuals sign up for the GED for the same issues. I wonder why that is. Let me see. There's a lot of disinformation here, a lot of lies and false equivalencies, but isn't that just kind of the JRC bread and butter? And now we're having it parroted by one of the highest courts in our land. Let's continue, shall we? The center is, we went over that, only center in the country. Other healthcare practitioners not affiliated with the center. Yeah, here's the tobacco and crap. The center manufactures its own devices. The center treats approximately 20% of its patients with this treatment at any given time. That should be your number one clue. Federal court, you are stating yourself here that these two devices are not the same. So tell me, why are we using the fact that the SBIS is an actually FDA approved device that is used by others? One that doesn't have near the power output as the GED as your justification to overturn the FDA ban, because by your own words, these devices are not the same. But they're similar enough that you should just say ban all shock devices. Oh my freaking god. We're mincing words here, aren't we? Because your justification makes no sense. You would say that they can't ban the GED unless they ban all shock devices. Even after admitting the fact that what the GED is used for is entirely different from what the SIBIS is used for, that it is a device that is only used in one single place. So, why, unlike everything else that the FDA regulates, are they not treated on their own individual merits like the FDA does with everything else? See, it doesn't make sense, folks. Judgment makes no sense. We're going to stop with that, folks. What you are seeing here is a federal court that lifted its talking points and legal arguments straight out of the JRC handbook. That although they state that these two devices are entirely different, they're going to lump them together to justify this bullshit decision. We are going to make bad faith arguments. We're going to tar and feather the autistics who get sent to places like this. We're not going to do any of our homework whatsoever in order to find out the fact that pretty much the bulk of these students have never had a full functional assessment done, never had a behavioral intervention plan drawn up, let alone have it executed. But instead, it is literally just trying to throw different crap that people have Googled over years at the person. And when it doesn't work, you kick the can down the road. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to make nonsensical statements that we basically lifted straight out of the JRC handbook. We're going to play on society's overall ignorance when it comes to this subject matter. And we are going to use an argument in regards to how you should ban all shock devices then, or they don't have the authority to do so. That if you are a person like me who's been following this case, you know it makes no sense. We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. Some that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, folks. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time.